spaced out. People been leaving.
All right. Where were you last night? The Hollywood Foreign Press lived up to its reputation last night, complete with surprises and, of course, some snubs. Here with highlights from last night's Golden Globe Award ceremony is Variety senior editor Michael Schneider. Hi, Michael. Always fun to see you.
Happy New Year, everyone. Barely, you know, I just realized I haven't taken my I went to a few parties last night, so I do need to
get into Coachella.
I think so. I think so.
Hey, listen, let's start with the host, okay, because they set the tone for everything. And I know we all know what Ricky Gervais does, and he can be very funny, but it felt a little bitter last night. Was that just me?
That, and also there was not a lot of energy after that opening monologue. After that, he barely showed up. He barely came out. And when he did, he was sort of, you know, I guess it was his shtick, reading off the card with his beer, but not a lot of energy.
And I think, well, he was, the part of his shtick was, okay, we're back. Like,
why am I here?
Like, I'm over it.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I feel like if you're somebody who's nominated for an award, you want people to kind of celebrate.
Well, and the other thing is, like, every time he comes out and hosts the show, he's like, this is the last time I'm doing it, so I'm really going to go for it. I'm going for the jugular.
That's part of the theatrics. I mean, they ask him back for that. Obviously, it does well. And I also think there's a great portion of the country, you tell me, that, you know, I think that maybe feels the way he is, you know, kind of voicing.
Sure, sure. And I think it is fun to see him take down Hollywood royalty a little bit. There's nothing wrong with that. I think the strange thing was when he started to lecture the people in the room to not do the very thing he was doing, which was lecturing them.
Right.
Don't lecture the crowd. But on the flip side, when people go up and win those awards, do you really want them to just list their agents and their publicists? No, I want personality. You know, I want Patricia Arquette to come up and really just, you know, speak from the heart. You know, even if it gets political, you know, it's interesting. There's emotion.
So what did you think about that? We had Michelle Williams, obviously, talking about women's choice. You had Patricia Arquette. We had even Joaquin Phoenix. He went a little off the rails, but Russell Crowe with the message. What do you think about that? Was it sophisticated? Was it appropriate?
I felt like this year especially, no one really went over the top. Everyone was very sort of, you know, nuanced in their speeches. There was no, you know, no one mentioned the word Trump. You know, they were very specific on causes like
no Me Too this year.
Yeah, that was interesting, especially on the eve of the Weinstein trial.
And with Bombshell also, and with Russell Crowe winning, you know, for his role at playing the part of Roger Ailes.
Yeah, and I think, you know, the right amount of concern about Australia, and, you know, obviously, if you're talking about what's going on in Australia, you have to mention climate change. You know, I think there was the right amount of that. I think it was a little awkward at first because Ricky Gervais very specifically said, please don't go political. A lot of those things, though, are not political. They're social issues, not political issues. Very different.
I want to talk to you about snubs last night.
Yeah.
Netflix went in as the most nominated, but none of their shows, like Irishman, no love, Dolomite, no love, Two Popes, no love.
Yeah. Even The Crown got for Olivia Colman, but didn't get for Best Drama. What's interesting is they have an entire awards machine there. They spend a lot of money campaigning, all these events that they do.
It matters to them.
It is surprising that they didn't get as much as they normally do. But there is also, we got to like put an asterisk always on the Golden Globes. We were talking about this earlier. There's only 85 members. So little things can sway the vote. It's not necessarily always a precursor to the Oscars. The SAG Awards are a much better barometer of what's going to do well at the Oscars.
Well, let's ask you a few questions. I know Lisa's biting at the bit, too.
Yeah.
Renee Zellweger, what did you think of her speech? It seemed a little like she still carried a bit of a chip on her shoulder.
Yeah. I think also things like toward the end of the night get a little looser, and so I think some of the later speeches in the night got a little bit off the rails.
No wine bottles and all that.
That's why we like the Golden Globes. Now, Joaquin Phoenix, I couldn't tell, was that, you know, or was that just Joaquin? Yeah. So
Tom Hanks' speech, you know, so uplifting.
Yeah, it was so touching.
Very emotional.
3 points of success. I love that.
I could have listened to him all night.
Yes.
Grandpa Tom Hanks telling us about the movies. So
what's the lowlights for you in terms of who won and who didn't, who's shown, and you know?
So my favorite moment of the evening was the very first award. Rami Youssef, who stars in a show Rami on Hulu, which I don't think a lot of people know about.
He said you guys can see my show.
He realized when the crowd was like, well, who is this guy? So hopefully that's a call now for people to watch Rami, because it's a fantastic show on Hulu. Very well deserved, very surprising. I mean, he beat out some heavyweights like Michael Douglas, but that's moments that I love on the Globes, when someone like a Rami Youssef can win.
What about Best Picture? Because I have to say, I wanted Jojo Rabbit to win more than Life itself.
Well, I was surprised by 1917. That was one that I don't think a lot of people were thinking. I mean, again, the Netflix power of it all, you know, people were assuming Irishman or Marriage Story. There are a lot of big candidates out there, Jojo Rabbit. So 1917.
10 seconds.
big surprise.
I know. We have just 10 seconds left. We have so much
more to talk to you about.
I love Succession one. I love Succession. So good. You know, so I'm looking forward to more of that. Saw them at the after party.
JoJo.
Yes.
Watch Jojo Rabbit if you haven't. It's as brilliant as Parasite, but it makes you feel good at the end.